the family name Purdue. First of all, the show's going to be airing on Sunday, February the 14th, Valentine's Day. So
Oh, then we've got to talk about Frank because there's heavy duty romance there.
exactly. That's exactly where I was going. So, you're the love of your life. I know he's gone a few years now. Tell us what Frank was like.
Oh, well, he was my hero from beginning to end. And since we're around Valentine's Day, uh, our courtship, I think, was about as romantic as it can get.
Hmm.
Well, I guess everybody's story is romantic, but it sure feels that way to me because I was living in California. I was a rice farmer. And if you're wondering if you heard me right, yeah, rice, the stuff that a Japanese person might eat with chopsticks.
Yeah.
I was a rice farmer. I was visiting in Washington, D.C., and got invited to a party. But I had to leave early because I had another place that I had to go. Frank Perdue attended the party, but he arrived late. We overlapped by 10 minutes.
Wow.
We started talking. And, he was kind of interested with the idea that chicken and rice go together. But our first 5 minutes were talking about how we were both divorced and how we were convinced that we would never consider the possibility of the notion of the concept of remarriage. And the reason why was because we'd never trust anybody again.
Hmm.
But 5 minutes into the conversation, Frank looked down at me and he said, I believe I could trust you. And I looked up at him and I said, I believe I could trust you. And the next 5 minutes, we're talking about what our marriage would be like. It would be supportive and not competitive, would be there to rejoice for the good stuff and to support each other during the bad stuff. And then I had to leave. And I
Wow.
and I didn't get to talk with him for another 10 days, this being 1988.
Hmm.
No emails, no Skype. Uh, and I was on a speaking tour. I was president of the oldest and largest farm women's organization at the time. Anyway, when I got back to California, Frank living in Maryland, we got back to Maryland, out to California. There were all these nice pink while you were out slips saying that Frank had called. And then he called again. And he said, almost his first words, I've never been more serious in my life. And I said, Frank, I feel the same way. Well, I came back to see him. And when I had known him 5 hours, he gave me my engagement ring. And it
My
wasn't just
goodness.
any old engagement ring, it was a priceless artifact, an emerald probably meant for the Queen of Spain that was recovered from the treasure ship Atocha, 1622. Some engagement ring, right?
Absolutely. My gosh.
Well, I went back to California to wind up my rice farming business. And when we were talking on the phone, the church that we belong to has a 6 weeks prenuptial counseling period. And he explained to me that he was running a company. These were somewhat difficult times, a little bit stormy, and he didn't have time for a normal engagement, but that he would like to be married as soon as the 6 weeks prenuptial counseling period was over. And so our third date was to see the minister who married us, Reverend Drazel. And shall I continue or am I monologuing too long?
Wow. What a story. What a
But
story.
it does
Keep-
go on, but I'll get to the end of it.
Yeah, keep going. Keep going.
We're 90%, I'm lying to you, 90% done. Okay, so the minister who married us, yeah, here we are in his rectory starting prenuptial counseling. And he says, oh, this is so wonderful. I'm so happy for you. Marriage is a glorious estate. How long have you known each other? And I said, do you mean in person? And he said, well, yes. And I said, I looked at my watch, 36 hours.
Wow.
And so when we married, we had known each other in person 6 weeks and 3 days.
Wow.
And it was a blissful marriage. But I mentioned that I thought my situation was super romantic because we didn't waste our time.
My goodness.
And
That's such a beautiful story.
But it's when we began living together, I felt there was no adjustment period. I felt I'd known him all my life, and I shared his values so completely. And we had so many things that were just made us compatible. Like we were both extremely prompt. We were both very frugal. I think we were both very idealistic. It just worked.